This is a McKillop podcast. Welcome to So What? Exploring big ideas and why they matter. We hope big ideas lead us to more love, more peace, and more beautiful connections in the world.
Well, hello and welcome to So What? Big Ideas and Why They Matter. And I am super happy to be here with my buddy Trevor. It's good to see your face after a bit of a break.
Yeah.
The two, your face and the breaking, weren't related, but nonetheless, it's refreshing to see your face in the context of being after a break. And I'm also super thrilled to introduce you to my open relational friend. That's open relational theologically, unless we have any perverts in the audience, which we probably do, but I won't name names. I just have friends. But anyways, I'd like to introduce you to my friend, Tori Owens. And I've met Tori, three years ago at OrtCon, which is the Open Relational Theological Conference held in beautiful Wyoming, just the backside of Jackson Hole. Absolutely gorgeous, great time. And so during that time, I had plenty of opportunity to share big ideas with different people, and Tori was one of them. And so really excited that Tori could join us today and share a big idea with us and why it matters for her and why she thinks it should matter for the rest of us. So it should be good. So welcome, Tori, and thanks so much for taking the time to be here.
Thank you.
What would you like us to know about you?
That is a great introduction. I loved that whole pervert slant there. That was awesome. Well, I've never been introduced in that way. That's fabulous.
No, I'm not suggesting you're a pervert. I'm just saying.
I just love how it just was spontaneous. I am a full-time therapist. I work mainly with survivors of domestic and intimate partner violence and have for 20-some years in various capacities, but now full-time therapist. And I also have, I also will see anyone like depression, anxiety, any adjustment disorders, all of that. It doesn't matter what type of issue someone might be facing, that I'm going to sit down with them and meet with them. I also work with co-parents who are high conflict co-parents. So I kind of have an aside where I'm doing that kind of work, which can get to be a bit much, and try to have a limited number because sometimes it gets pretty silly and crazy and conflicty and everything else. And I'm also a full-time, I should say part-time student with Thomas J. Ord in Open and Relational Theology, the doctoral program. So I probably should be full-time because I'm at the dissertation point and feeling it for sure. So I probably should dedicate more time to that.
Yeah, but don't you feel that that's kind of a myth too? Because when you're passionate about what you're doing, like this full-time, part-time thing, our worlds blend together and we end up just putting in whacks of hours. So equivalent of maybe two full-time things.
Yeah.
So,
I think so. Yeah. There's the time is, you can't chunk up the time on this.
Yeah.
There's no way to do it.
Well, that's good. And in harmony with that, one of the interlocutors, if you like that fancy $25 word, is Julian of Norwich. And Julian is someone who you're quite passionate about. And I believe you described her as badass. And I'm sure that that's in the Bible somewhere, so we could probably say it and get away with it. So I'm excited to learn more about what you're learning, but maybe you could introduce us to this character of Julian, just kind of set the mood for us.
Absolutely. So yes, my big idea is definitely that Julian of Norwich is a badass. And I've decided just recently that I'm going to write about her for the dissertation. Like, going to connect, and it's like she's this kind of ancestress to us for open and relational theology, and like she's the precursor, and maybe some Ort adjacent, right?
Okay.
So,
okay. Do tell.
I know. And when I did a presentation recently at OrtCon on Julian Norwich, and I used the term ancestress because I was like, ooh, that sounds, I love that you did that. Because I was like, I think I did that in the presentation. And I was like, he's a little witchy, like she's a little bit of a rebel. And I totally dig it,
right. Which
is what I loved so much about her. So some background on Julian of Norwich. Julian of Norwich was born in the 14th century. So 1300s, mid-ish, right? 1300s. And the context is essential because it's in the midst of the Black Death, the plague, bubonic plague. So we've got all these waves of the Black Death that are rolling through. There's utter chaos, right, in all of Europe and as it moves into England. And Norwich is like, if you have London here, it's kind of northeast of London, right? Norwich. Okay. So all of this is important to know because there's just major upheaval in this the historical context is upheaval. We've got the Pope's craziness going on with the Pope and the Pope's Pope after Pope. We've got popes that are like using the position of the Pope to get more money. It's about money more than it's about spirituality.
That never happens.
No,
never happens.
No, there's never a centralization of monies religiously, right? Yeah, for sure. So we've got all that going on. There's familiarity with this. Like, and in terms of the monarchies in this era, there's the centralization of power that's happening. Nationalism is on the rise. Okay. Know anything about that? Right?
No.
And we've got this this centralization of power and monies that's really beginning to happen in this era, along with the Black Death. So this context is fascinating compared to today.
Right. Yeah, there are lots of parallels.
Yes.
Yeah. For our listeners, just to help them with some of the terms, can you explain what open relational theology is and how Julian? Because I think a lot of people would have no idea what that means.
Yes.
But I'm really curious what that means in regard to Julian of Norwich.
So open and relational theology is kind of like it's an offshoot, I would say, of process relational theology, right? Or process theology. Now, Thomas J. Ord, who I'm working with as a doctoral advisor and everything, he's the one who coined the term open and relational theology. So basically, there are two main kind of tenets or main views. And then there's a big umbrella that a lot of stuff can fall under, right? And that we can disagree on and have conversations about, which is the other thing I love about open and relational theology, right? Is that we can come together from so many different faith traditions, experiences, atheism, agnosticism. It doesn't matter. And we can talk about things in a way that I think sometimes in this culture and in this present day, we're having a really hard time talking across differences. So I want to say that first about open and relational in general. It's this way to get together and talk about things really in fantastic ways, right? That can't find in other areas. So open and relational is God is relational is the first main thing. The second one is that the future is open. It's not fixed. It's not predetermined. So those are the two main things that I think Tom would say are kind of the base, right? And then there's a lot of other stuff that we can scoop up in there or add to or take away from, depending on what we believe. Yeah. So that's open and relational. And the reason I tie it to Julian is because I believe strongly about this, right? Is the other piece that is so attractive in open and relational theology is not only is God is relational, but I think we might go so far as to say is that God is love, right? Love,
Preach.
And I adore that as a place to start, as a place to end, and as everything in between, right?
Why?
Oh, why? I love that. Why? So I think it's when we begin and we end and we filter everything through that, whether it's our theology, whether it's our practice or day-to-day living out, right? And how we're moving in the world, I think it's a great check in the best ways to keep like if I keep returning to that, like even as a therapist, if I keep returning to the beginning of my day, the end of my day, and everything I'm saying and how I'm sitting with my clients is rooted in love, man, I think that I can't go wrong there, right?
Okay.
I think there's something essential in it guiding me, going before me, and also that at the end of the day that I can sit with things and go, wow, was I really acting in a loving way when I said that or I did that?
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes, I don't know what it becomes, but it roots everything, it grounds everything for me in a much needed way.
Right.
That in some ways we are missing in theologies. Yeah.
Right.
Makes sense?
Yeah, it makes it more soulful, more earthy in a sense, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
Very much so.
So maybe we can get into a little bit more of this as we go along. I also think that what's really important to land what we mean when we're talking about love. Like I really love au gratin flavored potato chips, but I'm pretty sure that's not the kind of love you're talking about.
Right.
I like to think that I love my beloved, who incidentally we're celebrating 37 years of marriage today.
Congrats.
Wow.
Yeah, weird. Hey, she found someone who put up with me. But the way that I love au gratin chips is very different than the way that I love Andrea, right? The way that I love au gratin chips or the Toronto Blue Jays is very different than the way that I love God, or even Trevor. Actually, Trevor has become quite a wonderful friend. So, but yeah. So I don't know if we want to do it right here, right now, but just in the context we're talking about love, tease that out a bit.
I think it's about the well-being of others in the world and the creation, all things, right? It's about placing that's the primacy, right? The well-being, it's not just about myself, but it's about everything, because also we're connected to everything, including all of creation. So it's about the well-being of others, creation, and all that we're connected to. So that's kind of what I mean by love, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds much more rugged.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is that why Julian of Norwich is a badass?
I think the reason she's a badass is she also talks so much of what she writes about and how she begins the writings, the revelations of divine love, even the title itself is it's rooted in love. And right at the very end of the revelations, there's this gorgeous paragraph where she says, she's talking and interacting with Christ, right? And she's having these conversations. It's based on these showings or visions that she has, 16 visions that she has. So she's writing reflections on these 16 visions. That's the root of the basis of this, the revelations of divine love. And at the end, she's talking with Christ, and she's like saying, well, why? Like, what's the point of all this, right? Like, why show me any of this? What's the point of the crucifixion? What's the point of all the things? And basically God says it's for love. It starts with love. The reason is love. The why is love. The how is love. All of it is about love. It's this gorgeous paragraph. Like, time to find it. It's the very last chapter. And basically God is saying, the only thing that matters is love. So it's a beautiful, beautiful quote.
That could be fairly dangerous for her to say something like that in that context. Like, consider what was happening with Wycliffe and the Lollards, right?
Yes.
And if I understand the story, where they burned the Lollards alive for the audacity of thinking that God is actually love and available to everyday people, was right outside her cell window.
It was. It's happening at the same time. Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, it seemed to me just there's this twinges throughout what I've read so far, where she just comes up to the line, right, and then she backs away, but she's very cheeky and very generous the way that she seems to navigate some of those hard lines.
Yes. Yeah. And Trevor, were you getting ready to say something too there?
Well, I was just curious if you could unpack like a little more of the context to how radical what Michael just said and you've just said about the love. Like a lot of people might not know how she was living her life, the context. I think that makes her even more radical.
Yes, it does. I love that you brought that up, Michael, all of that, because the Lollards, all of that's happening. There's so much happening during her lifetime, like Catherine of Siena is showing up, pulling out the Pope on all of the simony money stuff, everything else. Joan of Arc is during her lifetime, right? We've got so many things that are happening and overlapping in terms of these huge events in history. The papacy is moved to Avignon as the base. And so that means that kind of like it's seen as the Pope being in the back pocket of the French king, right?
Okay.
Which, oh my gosh, and all of the communications and happenings between monarchs, that's a major deal. And then who's the Pope going to side with in all these decisions or battles or wars that are happening? So all of this is going on in terms of the context. But then you have Julian of Norwich, who at 30, she's 30 when she has these visions, right? So she has these 16 visions, 15 visions. She goes, she's deathly ill, thinks she's going to die. The priest has given her like the last rites, all of the things, holds this crucifix up to her. And she's staring at this crucifix and she has 15 visions on this, like May 8th, I think, May 8th, 1373, right? Yes, it's crazy. So then she has 15 visions. She wakes up, she ends up the next day thinking, oh, not now, maybe I'm crazy, right? Like, this didn't happen. Now, she has another vision the next night. Basically, God saying, no, you heard me correctly. Like, stick with that. Like, so 6 visions in total, right? Now, somewhere in the gap between 1373 and when we know that she became an anchorite, right? So an anchorite at this time was a person that could be male or female that were tied to a specific cathedral in a community. So what that meant was they made the decision, and it was a willing decision, reflection, all the stuff. And many times they were tied to a particular religious order. So they were a nun, a monk, or whatever that might be. And then in this journey, they decide, I want to be an anchorite. Holy crap, right? I want to be connected with this church. And they are then bricked in to an anchor hold to that church with a window to the outside, a window to the inside to observe Mass and communion, and then a door for their attendants to come in and tend to their needs. Right?
Wow. So literally they're bricked in.
They are literally bricked in.
Okay.
They are literally bricked in for the rest of their lives to this cathedral, this church. And so you've got a woman who in the 1300s, not a lot of female voices, I'm sure, that are being heard, listened to. Scholarly, no. But what we do know is the Dominicans have moved in. They have a major library. She probably has studied, tied to her religious order, independently, whatever that might look like. She is seen as the very first woman to write anything in English. Wow. It's Julian of Norwich, right?
Wow.
Her work. So major, I mean, it's crazy, in vernacular English at the time, right? So here's this woman who then has these visions, jots it all down, kind of tucks it away, and then she sits on it and reflects on it for 20 years, 30 years, this chunk of time. She kind of hides it away. Now, I think she probably hides it away because here she is, a woman. Who's going to read it? Who cares, right? And then also, you're right, Michael, in that she's cheeky. And she says multiple times throughout the work, I totally abide by the teachings in the Holy Church. Like, all of these visions that I've had, they're not in contradiction to the teachings of the church. I think they actually support the teachings of the church. So she is in fawn mode, I think, a little bit here.
Yeah.
And totally laying the groundwork, like, I'm not doing anything wrong. Just walk on by, kind of a deal. So she's setting it up, absolutely. Yeah, I think for this to get out there safely. But she sits on it for 20 years, so it's not out there for a long time.
Yeah.
I think because she knows the radicality of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what would you say are like the key main thrusts of what there's the love, but are there specifics within that really get kind of pointy?
I think that one of the most important things for me is as a female, right? Here she is writing, it's radical, all the things. She's creating words. Enjoy, the word enjoy that we use, she created, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like she's just creating stuff which is so Ort anyway, isn't it? So in relational theology or Ort is shortened, Tom is like creating words like omnipotence. Yeah. Everybody's creating words because
genontology,
Yeah, exactly. So she's doing the same thing. She's in there just like creating words, which is amazing and marvelous. But she's saying things like we are one with God.
The wanting.
The wanting, which is so beautiful. Yeah. She's saying things like you can't ever be separated from God.
Yeah.
Like you're already one with God. You can't be separated. She talks often of things like sin is not a thing. It's a no thing. Now, there are the implications of sin, right? But it's really a no thing that she talks about. Some other things that she said that I love is she talks often and uses God, talks about God as mother as much as she talks about God as father.
Father, yeah.
It's beautiful. And then she talks about Christ and she says that she talks about Christ as our mother. So she uses terms like Christ is our brother, but she also says mother because the sacrificial nature of Christ is so profound and loving that it could only be likened to what a mother would do for a child.
Wow.
It's such a gorgeous language.
Yeah. Wow. Trevor, you better start scanning the emails. I'm sure we're getting lots of mail about that comment.
I don't know. It depends where everybody lands. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose. And along that same lines, I love this bit about just that surety that we have in the steadfastness of God. And she has this bit where she goes on about, I'm trying to figure out how to reframe it. But the whole idea, like coughing isn't sinful. Going to the bathroom isn't sinful. The bodily functions that we've pushed away and kind of looked down on our nose. She's saying, look, this is just part and parcel of the way that God made us and God loves us. Right. And so I'm going to be using that next time that my wife and I are sharing a room and I pass wind, that she will have to, sorry, Trevor, I'm going downhill very quickly, but she will have to accept that this is the day that the Lord has made. And I'm going to pass gas, and God loves me because he made me that way.
And if we think of the context, right, if you're thinking of the context of the Black Plague, what we know is that wave after wave has happened. They don't know why it's happening. They just know being around other people, this is showing up, and it's wiping out millions of people. There's not anyone who's untouched, right, by this. So what they're beginning to think, and as they're connected, it's impacting the theology of the day, in that somehow we must be sinful. Our bodies, right, our embodiment must not be okay. Because you look at art during this period, sometimes Mary's holding Jesus, the baby Jesus, out away from her. Right. Baby Jesus is laid at her feet. So there's not any of this intimacy, this connection. Because family members are abandoning family members, people, all the things. Like, because all they know is if I'm too close to someone who is showing signs of this, I'm going to die too. So I'm out of here. See ya. Go. Right.
Yeah. They didn't have germ theory.
They didn't know where it was coming from. It was just frightening to be with other people. And so a movement that rises up are the flagellants who are beating themselves physically, paying penance, physical penance, pleading to God to take away this awful sin or symptom of their sin as a result of their sin, physical sin. Oh my gosh, we must have done something horrible, right? So embodiment was seen as something quite horrific this time, I think, and a cause of, right? Yeah, Trevor, you're thinking.
Well, no, I'm feeling into like the trauma of the trauma, and like that's a somatic thing, like death, and then I guess you take all our theologies become somatized too, in terms of what we believe actually comes out in our relationships and our bodies. So then, then you have her, I imagine her, she's anchored herself, like, dropped her anchor and it's not going anywhere. And this death and politics and the church and the theology. And then she comes out and says, all shall be well. All shall be well. And all manners of things shall be well. So, I mean, is that just like fatalism or optimism? Like, how does this fit in? And another thing, I'm being a squirt, like tying in, and like, is God a dude to her that's separate from everything? And like, how does this all fit together when she says that phrase that we all say, all shall be well?
I know.
All shall be well.
It's like, Julian, what the hell? Like, no, it's not this kind of pat kind of thing. So I love that, because I think that our experiences and what's happening and our experiences about our embodiment, that shapes our theology. It has to, doesn't it? And I see that happening in my work as a therapist. Like, people I sit with, their experiences are shaping their theology, their philosophy, everything. It has to. There's no way it can't. And there's going to be some dissonance when we can't have those conversations and talk about those things or allow it to unfold, right? So I think the thing to remember, that how I'm going to answer this, Trevor, is in terms of the anchor, what we kind of can think about an anchorite or an anchoress getting bricked into this wall is that, oh my gosh, they're cut off from the community in a sense. But it actually, as I was digging around, what I found is that if we think of it more as she's chosen to be the anchor for this community, right? So she's anchored to the community, but I think she becomes an essential anchor for the community. So it's both and. There's that outside window that has a screen and like a cross or something on it. She becomes a spiritual counselor. She becomes a spiritual director for the community. And what's fascinating about Norwich in particular is this is a hub, a major trading post. So people will come in from Europe, the mainland, and they come down the river that feeds there into Norwich. And so I am certain there were tons of people in and out of Norwich, like moving markets, like people from all around the world that were coming in from Europe in particular. She was seeing and hearing everything. And my image of her is this. So, okay, some people will not, depending on their age, they're not going to remember Anne Bancroft, right? But I loved her in some movies. And she kind of had this gravelly kind of voice, and she often was smoking in roles, right? And so I imagine Julian of Norwich as Anne Bancroft, right, smoking a cigarette, walled into this church, and she's sitting next to the screen that's facing the outside world. And people know they can come to her for spiritual counsel. So basically, she knows everything that's going on. Like, she's hearing everybody go by. She's hearing all the gossip as they go by. She's sitting there at like 3 a.m, listening to people drunk wandering down the street, right? All of the things. And she's sitting there by this window, like smoking her cigarette, thinking, oh God, like, what's going on with these people, right?
Yeah.
And then somebody comes to the window and they're like, hey, Dame Julian, or Lady Julian, da-da-da-da, right? And she's like, ah, shit. Not yet.
Yeah.
The same old, right? And then she goes, yes, okay. All right, what's going on? And she feel like she graciously, kind of gently guides them into some kind of way, right? But I think that matters in this, and why what she says is so important, because what she also says in the Revelations is that Christ is our co-sufferer with us in all of everything we're dealing with, our griefs, our desolation, despair, all the things. But then she says, not only is Christ our co-sufferer, but because Christ is our co-sufferer, we are also Christ's co-sufferer. So she takes it a step further, right? So most of the time what I hear is that Christ is co-suffers with us, God co-suffers with us. But what I don't often hear is that we co-suffer with Christ. And that as long as Christ is suffering for all of humanity, then that means we suffer with Christ and everyone else. That Christ then becomes the hub for all of us to be co-sufferers together. Yeah.
Together.
Yeah.
And so that co-suffering, just to make sure I understand you, is not in like a penal substitutionary, we're going to all bludgeon Jesus.
No.
To satiate, some monster god, but rather it's that collegiality is not the word I want, but that community, that identification, that deep empathy.
It is. It's profound empathy, I think. So I think then when she's saying things like, all shall be well, is that part of our human experience is that we suffer and that we do it together.
Yeah.
And that ultimately love wins.
Beautiful.
Love wins. And no, it's not a flippant response, right? It's not tied up in a bow in that way. It really is very profound.
Or is it, and it's not tied up that I hear in, I think when, empire religion was, that's what we're talking about. She was living in empire religion, and the goal was the afterlife, in my opinion. And so she's not talking about like it all's going to be well, and it's all, once you just live through this and then you die and it's all hunky-dory for you. She's not trying to say that either then.
No, she's not. And I think, Michael, when you brought up that stuff about in the body, like going to the bathroom, coughing, all the things, right? She is saying over and over again in these revelations, dude, we're human. Like we have our senses. And she talks about this sensuality. We are sensual beings with these things. Like this is our experience.
Right.
And so she's not negating our human experience at all. She's not dismissive of that in any way. She even talks about, man, it's miraculous. She has this one chapter where she's talking about going to the bathroom, and she's saying it's really remarkable how God has created us. Like, isn't this awesome?
Yeah, my kind of gal. Yeah.
Yes.
But I love the pastoral aspects of it. Certainly, she talks about, like, in the context of time as we experience it here, that's just part and parcel with pain, right? And I think to not acknowledge that in the setting and the context in which she found herself would be cliche. It would ring hollow somehow. But by being upfront and recognizing that, and then speaking to that hope, that bigger hope that transcends current situations, I think that there is a rugged hope, and a much needed one, for certainly a setting where I don't even know how you begin to hope for something different in that kind of world.
I don't either. And somehow this voice, what she said so powerfully speaks, right, to hope,
right,
in that context.
Yeah, how would she find it? If I could learn I'd like to find that.
No kidding. And maybe there was something, and I was just because I just have decided last Friday, like literally last Friday, meeting with Tom, I was like, I think I want to write about this for my dissertation, because I've been like trying to figure it out. And I was reading today this just a 5 or 6 page snippet of how much Thomas Merton loved Julian of Norwich. And later on, right, in his life, he goes, you know what? I used to love Teresa of Avila. I used to love St. John of the Cross. And then he goes, now I wouldn't trade Julian for any of them, because there's something about her theology and her consistency and steadiness and that just resonates through time. But I think one of the things that's so important in her theology and this writing and her experience is experience. She takes into account experience.
Right.
That has to play a part. And then what she did, so she has this experience, she jots it down, and then she sets it aside for 20 years. She spends 20 years in reflection. 20 years. Like, are any of us patient enough to do that?
Oh, hell no. I'd have that on Facebook, like, lickety split.
Yes.
Look at me, Substack number 27. Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm thinking, what must happen in a Lectio Divina? So she does like a Visio Divina, right? Is this reflection on these visions?
Right.
Writes it all down. And then she does a Lectio Divina of her own recording of the visions for 20 years. What patience, profound reflection.
Yeah.
And also, I'm sure, an echo of, I'm not sure where I could publish this anyway, whatever that looked like then, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, look what trouble, this is later, Teresa of Avila got in. I talk, and The Cloud of Unknown, I think, is published after, I don't know if it's concurrent.
It's concurrent.
Or published. It's concurrent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very James Finley, modern folk, talking about going over something over and over in a lectio style to really test it and to really, a vision for you, like, was God for her something separate, like a dude in the sky?
No, it
or was God, when we talk about open or process theology, like, what was God, what or who or how, like, is this God? Yeah, can you say it? And then that must affect her too.
I think so. And I love that idea of just bringing in James Finley. I went through the Living School, through the CAC, the Center for Action and Contemplation, for a couple of years. And we called him Uncle Jim. He would refer to himself, just call me Uncle Jim.
Yeah.
So fitting. And he would sit there and just start talking about things in the ground and, all this kind of stuff, ground being and everything else. And he was so Uncle Jim. It was fabulous. But yes, I think that's the example that she gives us, is that quiet, consistent, deliberate reflection on something and waiting for it to unfold. And that term unfold too comes up with Julian quite often, where she talks often about the Trinity, very Trinitarian, and that it's very relational. It is a relational thing happening. It's always tied together. So I think she sees God as this relational being, which I love, which connects then with Ort in lots of ways. Maybe not in quite the same way that we talk about it, but I love that relationality. And she's talking often too of being enfolded in the Trinity or being enfolded in Christ. And I love that. I think it's just this. And I think that's where she gets the oneing too, is that we're one with God, which means we are one with the Trinity as well. So all of it, it's just throughout, like, there's no way to pull it. She doesn't talk about it separately. It just is. It just is. Another thing that comes up, I know that's it's beautiful, is she holds that hazelnut, which we have that image of, right? And she talks about that. She looks at it and she's like thinking, this isn't anything. This isn't nothing. Like, this is so small and insignificant. And then she says, oh my gosh, this hazelnut holds the entire universe, right? I think
Yeah, God says that to her. Yeah.
Yes. It's the entire universe here in this small thing. So that's, I think, how she sees everything is we're all one with God, and there is no separation. So God is not in the sky in any kind of way in her writings, I don't think.
So would she talk about being one not only with God, but being one with one another and one with everything else that inhabits the cosmos? Okay.
Yes. And what she knew of the cosmos at that time, right?
For sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, to hold a hazelnut, I mean, we become so anthropocentric or human, like everything's about our species. Yeah. But to use a hazelnut, we've just planted hazelnut trees in our yard here.
That's so.
They haven't fruited yet, but hazelnuts used to be growing everywhere. I've been doing research on hazelnuts. Sorry, I won't talk too long on it. But hazelnuts, hazelnuts, they're a source of protein. I mean, they're very common at one time. You can make milk from them if you want to. And so it's like they're really like they're bushes. They can sort of be trees, but for her to use like the body and images of nature, like tell me that there's something more than what a lot of our dualistic Christianity has made, where we can, I just find, and I feel a beauty in that when she uses the hazelnut. It's such a,
It's so earthy. It is so grounded. It is so just in the here and now. Like this is life. Even when she's talking about these bodily functions or a hazelnut or whatever, it just so real life.
Well, and then she might have eaten the hazelnut.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's not a trinket. It's like, it's sustenance too. She ate the universe then.
She sure did. And oh my gosh, if you start thinking about that and the wanting and all, it's so gorgeous. Beautiful, beautiful stuff.
Oh, wow.
I love this.
Well, I'm very much aware of our finite time, so I'm kind of wondering if it's okay if we turn the corner a bit, and maybe you could help us land some of these big, beautiful ideas that we've been talking about this remarkable person, and help us land that in 2025, in a world that's, it just seems like our cheese has slid off our cracker.
That's putting it mildly. Yes.
Right. So what kind of things can we take and land for us today from Julian and Norwich?
Okay. And I jotted some.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Yes. No, I was going to like Michael's saying, like, so what? Like, wait, not in a bad way, but it's like, what do we take from this?
Yeah. I think that, and I jotted a few things down because I didn't want to forget. I think one of the most important things is that co-suffering, that idea, that empathy for human beings and for one another and for creation in general and our connection to one another, that is profound. And I think an essential thing for us to remember right now in 2025, particularly here in the United States, as we're watching some horrible things unfold, is that remembering empathy, and that when another human being or creature or creation suffers, that we are suffering and co-sufferers in that through Christ, right?
Yeah.
And there's a response in that we need to have. Like,
right.
Yeah. That that requires something of us, for sure.
Yeah. And there's a co-suffering also with perpetrator or the enemy too, in a way.
There is
that I think we can lose ourselves and lose the best of who we are when we forget that.
Yeah.
So, I'm not suggesting a free pass for these guys.
No.
But we it's the old saying, if we dehumanize them, we dehumanize ourselves. So that co-suffering, what happened to these guys that find themselves like this?
Yeah, and I love that reminder that includes everybody.
Yeah.
So what is the So I feel this I'll just say per context. I feel this suffering, like NPR and public national rails lost all their funding. I feel the suffering that United States is UNESCO. I feel the suffering they're going to do coal mining, possibly where we live. I feel suffering from like the chaos. Part of me just wants to like shut down, move away. Like, so from your study of Julian Norwich and why she matters, how do we respond to it?
I think we have to be in the world. And I say that that's an ironic thing to say, given that she was an anchoress, right?
Yeah.
But I think because she committed her life to this community and what would have been probably, thousands of people living in Norwich, but she dedicated herself to this community. And that meant the experiences of those people in that community. And I think maybe that's a way in, that because we're feeling all of this global, like, oh my gosh, and it's this onslaught every day of suffering, that I think it can become paralyzing.
Yeah, definitely.
Or like I said, we just shut down, or like, oh my gosh, what can I do? There's nothing. I think this is a reminder. Yeah. This is the reminder that we must be involved in the world. And she was quite involved in people's lives. She was not separate from people's lives. People knew her to be a spiritual counselor. She was a counselor of renown. Marjorie Kempe, next town over, who wrote the first female autobiography in English, she knew of her and she went to go see her. She's like, I'm going to go see Julie. I'm going to go journey to see her. So we know that probably there were pilgrimages. There were people seeking her knowledge, seeking her out for her direction. I love that because she's still involved. And I think that's the piece. I think where we are locally, we have to be open and connected to others locally and do what we can where we are here. And if we're all doing that, because I know here are three of us, right? That there are others out there in their communities doing the same thing.
Right.
And then if we're all connected, that means I'm invested in your work, Trevor, in what you're doing in the day-to-day. I'm invested in your work, Michael, and you're invested in my work when I'm sitting with clients. It's like, that's exactly what it means, is that then there's this love energy, this transformative energy that's moving through as we are doing this in the day-to-day in all ways. It's not separate from, it's not something we're doing separately. It is throughout our whole life in all that we do and say. Every, right? I'm walking amongst the trees, right? The love energy I send out, I have to believe that I'm as connected to the trees and the flowers and my dogs, Bruce and Finn, as I am to the two of you, right?
Yeah.
I'm bucking into that. I'm gonna
Wow.
So it sounds like another thing that her whole concept of wanting is that either, I don't know how you say it, we're asleep, that we're actually deeply connected and there's a call to awake, and that sort of radicalizes our life to connection and compassion and love then.
Yes, very much so. Yeah. That we can be blind to that. She even makes a statement like, if we focus too much on other people's sins or when they miss the mark and we judge them, that it clouds us to see the connection that's actually there, the wanting.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that goes back to the enemy love.
It sure does.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sure does.
Wow. Because we really do want to be separate, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think another piece that's important, I don't want to forget to say this because I know we're running out of time, is all of that to say that there's this term called theopoetics, right? Which is this edgy place of doing theology. And it's not using the terms and all of the theological frameworks and the language that we're familiar with it when people talk about theology. It's this really creative, daring, I think, risky place to be. And I can't think of anybody who's writing in more of a theopoetic kind of way than Julian of Norwich, which then leads me to, this is why it matters. It's because all of us, I hope, we need to be daring and risky. We really do. We need to kind of get really daring and risky in our love and how we're talking about it and how we're living and how we're interacting with everybody. Because right now, the time, I think it's essential. And it's this kind of rebel mystic voice. And they've always been there, and they rise up in times like this. And that may be us.
Yeah.
This reminder and a call to return to love, a call to return to love. And that really earthy, grounded love that connects us all is that kind of love. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So be a rebel, be a badass.
Yeah. Yeah. And isn't that bizarre that if the most punk thing you can do, the most radical thing you can do in today's culture right now is to be loving, to self-give, to radically forgive, to pull in tight instead of push away.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. It's contrary to everything I want to do, if I can be honest. I want to go start a farm with Trevor and grow hazelnuts.
Absolutely.
So,
the protection mode. For sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do. Go ahead.
No, you just said punk rock. Did you see Superman?
No, I haven't yet.
Oh my gosh, you got to see Superman because he's saying basically being kind and loving is punk rock.
Oh, you're kidding.
Awesome. Yes.
Huh.
It's the most punk rock thing we can do is to be kind and loving to others.
Wow. Okay, well, I definitely have to go see that then.
Julian and Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like the bit about showing up for one another, and I think it's easier to do that when we recognize that connectedness, and then hopefully in time we can make deeper connections and see that belovedness. But even just trying to be a soft space for landing, a safe port, for folks who've just been battered.
Absolutely.
That's kind of what I'm hearing, and just to affirm them that, this is really shitty, but love wins.
Yeah.
Love wins. So,
beautiful.
Well, what was it? It was one of your podcasts, actually. I'm trying to remember who you were. It was you and Jonathan Foster.
Yeah.
Anyways, it was one of you guys or your guest that was talking about love wins because evil exhausts itself, that love is so relenting. It gets up. It shows up time and time again. And finally, evil fails in pure exhaustion.
Yeah.
That was a great episode. We should flog your podcast, by the way.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there's so much here. I'm still, and or near the end here, I'm still sort of sitting on the co-suffering as we're with Michael and what Ewan's love wins. But I wish we had more time with you.
Absolutely.
And maybe you'll come back after your dissertation and expand it more. But thank you for your time, and thank you for your energy and your smile and presence and your wisdom and bringing Julian. And please, we're going to have in the show notes ways that people can join. You want to say anything more about your podcast or ways we can connect with you afterwards that people are interested?
Absolutely. So I have a Substack that I've not been writing on, but I've been posting the videos of the conversations Jonathan and I, Jonathan Foster, and I think his Substack is Jonathan_Foster, which I think are where the conversations are always posted. But I'm part of those conversations. My Substack is called Love Tori, and I will send you all that information, everything. But so I'll connect you, I'll get you there to those convos that we're having. But they've been such fun conversations. We've got Ilya Delio coming up on Friday. And that
lovely.
Yeah.
Be
awesome. Very good.
Yeah.
So good. Well, I can tell by the clock on the wall, it's time to bid you one and all so long. Thank you so much, Tori. We so appreciate it. And Trevor, as always, it's
thank you.
So good to spend time with you. And thanks to everybody who takes the time to listen, and we'd love to hear from you. Shout out to Jim and to Rebekah for their behind-the-scenes work, and the good folks at McKillop that make this madness possible. So thank you so much. Love to both of you. Take good care.
Take care.
Bye.
If you are enjoying this podcast, please like it, subscribe, consider rating it, and sharing it with family and friends. This podcast is produced by McKillop, Living Sacred Relationships.